Good evening, Gina here. Soul Inspired Reflections. And I thought I'd come on today and share with you something that I have the Archangel Zadkiel up in my house all the time. He's just, the picture of Archangel Zadkiel that I have is this particular one. And you'll notice it says seventh ray, order and ceremony, and the number 44. And I believe I originally got this from a card deck that I was pulling from, like some type of oracle deck. I don't remember which one. I've had this up in my home for, probably a year now, because I was going through quite a bit. But also because it reminds me of the seventh ray and the violet ray of transmutation and freedom and transfiguration. It's basically like a micro scubber. It's been a significant ray in my life that I've worked with, probably for the past 7 years or so. And so you can imagine, like anything, and those of you that hear me speak or write particularly, I talk about self-mastery and that path of self-mastery in relation to ascension and awakening process. And for me, that just means the ceremony of my soul's return to light and being light, but in human form while I am in this human body. It doesn't take away my humanness. And it doesn't take away feeling the multidimensionality of the soul and life itself. What working with this ray and many other rays that go along with it, because there are many, and they're supportive to me returning to mastering my energy of my body and the energy that comes in and through my body in the vehicle of the human design, our sacred design. And recently I was talking to a friend of mine, and we've had very parallel experiences since we've known each other, and we've been able to be a really beautiful support system in contemplation, self-reflection with our experiences and healing journey, and what is there for us, what we're releasing and healing on an ancestral level, both on our masculine, like patriarchal side, our maternal side, as well as the collective, and how it also raises the planet. So for those of you that are new to your awakening and healing journey, know that there's so much depth to this journey. But when you have the ability, as you continue to grow, excuse me, excuse me, that's the throat chakra. So as you continue to grow, say for instance, if you are also one that is working with the ascension rays and rays of light, whatever word you have for them, but it's already in you, it's in all of us. Your depth and understanding of working with those rays of light within you and around you will continue to grow and expand. So in my experience in the beginning, and I equate this even to, I was an athlete, and I'm still an athlete, I just don't perform at an elite level anymore. However, for me to master my skill set, it required me to master the basics, because it's the basics and those foundational skills that which you build upon. And you always return to the basics. It's kind of like even a company. What's your bread and butter, right? But you may expand on that. And right now, the violet ray is the dominant ray of this eon of the golden age. And we are being, the intensity of that ray, this cosmic ray, has increased and is continuing to increase. So I was reminded again of that ray today. in supporting a friend of mine. And that some of us on this planet, on a soul level, have been called to use their vehicle, their temple, their ability to work with light, to transmute energies from the collective, to support the raising of the vibration and frequency of the planet. And sometimes that has the potential to show up as illness in the body. Okay, so if that is resonating with you when you hear this at any time, pay attention to that and call on guidance to support you. Call on Zadkiel to support you in the violet ray to support you. Learn how to use this ray and master it for the highest good. So that also means connecting with your I am presence, the collective I am, and your monad. And that can take time. You have to practice calling in your higher self and connecting to it and opening your heart, because it's very different. And it'll be very distinct when you're working in your mental body versus your heart, trust, faith, and grace. And that takes practice to build up to that. So be patient, start small. It's the smallest choices in life that have the biggest impact. So remember that. So for those of you who are like dreaming really big, being like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Oh, ascension. As exciting as the ascension process is, what I'd like to remind you to is do not sensationalize it. So many people have sensationalized an awakening and the ascension and everything's just going to happen for me. Recognize that it's a healing journey. It is bringing up your trauma, ancestral trauma, planetary trauma. It's all interwoven. It's all interwoven. It's bringing up your own shadows, any misqualified energies in this lifetime, as well as in your soul lifetime. Yeah, your soul lifetime. And this is some of the things that I assist clients with, is stepping into the power of their soul. And how do they work with that? How do they call it in? How do they recognize the transformation of moving from duality to oneness? Experiencing duality to experiencing oneness, and I'm part of all that is. And experiencing life on this planet and the lessons that we get to endure on this planet from a higher perspective, while all dimensions exist within you at the same time. Okay, so I am going to read a little bit about the seventh ray from this deck. What I had done, I think, was take pictures of the book, and I printed it out for myself. I can't remember the book. I wish I could. If I remember it, I will post it later. But for those of you that are feeling called to hear a little bit more, I'm going to just read about the seventh ray for you. And it's also associated to Ascended Master Saint Germain. So know that if you feel called to look him up and start to invoke his energy into your field and presence by reading about Archangel Zadkiel, Saint Germain, it brings their energy into your field, and you can begin to build a relationship with that Ascended Master and being of light. Okay, the being of light. So whenever you're doing this work, I always suggest you light a candle and call in Archangel Michael. Surround your field with light and protection, your pillar of light and protection, and call in those of you that work with Metatron to assist as your gatekeeper, to basically assist in making sure only the beings of light show up, and who you're calling in is kind of like he checks it out, make sure that is the energy of who you're calling in. So that's really important, as well as grounding yourself. So connecting to the earth, activating your base chakra, but also your earth star chakra. And for those of you that can go a little deeper into the earth's core, just activate it, and you can call on Archangel Sandalphon to assist you in grounding. Grounding is so important in your journey as you're bringing in higher frequencies of light, and to be flexible in your earthly body, in your grounding, in your earth, like, right? Because you want to be anchored in, but flexible and be in flow. Be able to flow with the experience and observe the experience, but not own the experience, so to speak, where we can attach to an experience where then it limits us and it could hold us back. So give yourself space to expand, okay? But start small, and then it's kind of like learning a skill. I had to learn how to kick a soccer ball. So I kicked with one foot, and I dribbled, and I turned, and then I used the outside of my foot, and then back and forth to the inside and outside. But I had to learn how to push the ball forward first and work that skill. And then I added, okay, let's try this. Now let's try it at a run and dribble. Now let's try picking my head up and dribble. Okay, so picking your head up. All of us can get super focused, and then we forget to see what's around us. Pick your head up, look around, breathe, and most importantly, have fun. This can be a fun, the more fun you bring in to your journey and healing, the easier it's going to be, bring more ease to you. It opens you up. So dance, sing, it gets you out, it gets your physical body out of the downward spiral, especially when you're processing trauma, and it can be intense. I've been there, and I'm still processing stuff. I'm not, done, but I've been at the depths where I would definitely call it that dark night of the soul, where this ritual and ceremony and order in your life becomes extremely vital and important. So for those of you that have not begun a spiritual practice daily and ceremony and order, and what I mean by ceremony is start to honor your day. Start to honor your day. We are in the ceremony of the day all the time. And if you can think about a ceremony, it has a beginning, middle, and an end. And then it has the ritualistic practices in between or along the ceremony, right? So for instance, a wedding. You're going to a ceremony, there's going to be certain rituals that occur during this ceremony. You'll have the beginning, the guests are all seated, the groom's waiting, there might be some things said, and then everyone pauses and waits for the bride to come down. And then there's these certain practices and exchanges. The ritual happens, the union happens. Then the celebration at the end where everyone comes together, typically to celebrate their union. Right? Beginning, middle, and end. Our days are no different. Sun rises, sun sets. So you can even look at the seasons, like the medicine wheel, the 4 seasons that we go through on the planet, right? So that too is a ceremony. But just start with the day. With the sunrise, with the sun rising in the east, it's the new beginning of your day. What's your ritual? Do you get up? Do you stretch? Do you go for a walk? Do you sit outside? Do you have your cup of coffee or tea? Do you roll back over? These things matter because it's how you start your day, and it's how you connect to the life around you in nature. So for those of you feeling disconnected, begin by honoring your ritualistic practices for your day. How do you hold the ceremony of your day? And it doesn't have to be so formal, but honor it. start to acknowledge it, meaning giving gratitude to, oh, I'm making my coffee and being excited about that. Because I know for me, when I was working in the office, that was a big thing. If I didn't have my coffee or tea, it definitely impacted how my day started. So take notice how you're setting yourself up for success in the energy of your day, right? And then as you move in out of the morning in your connection, you begin to go into the activity, right? The activity. Into the summer, the action being called upon when you're at work. And then you move into the dawn, right? Or the evening time, which could be considered the autumn, right? You're starting to shed away the rest of your day, and then you're preparing for your nighttime, which is the winter, where you get to slumber and dream. And you do it all over again. Just pay attention that you are in ceremony every single day, all the time. And how are you honoring that? Even if you just honor the beginning and the end of your day with some simple practices that support your wellness, take notice how your day changes and how you feel. So back to Zadkiel, Archangel Zadkiel, the seventh ray of ritual, order, and ceremony. So I will read this to you, and I hope it touches you and opens your heart in some way and supports you in exactly the way you need it whenever you come across this video. When the gift of the seventh ray enters your life, something new is being formed, something that will benefit your world. There may be an increased interest in magic, ceremony, and ritual for healing purposes. Resonating with the high-frequency violet light and the Archangel Zadkiel, the seventh ray also helps transmute energy from lower to higher frequencies. It is a spiritual cleansing agent that allows the truth of spiritual freedom, empowerment, and choice to be seen and felt, restoring hope and joy into the heart. The seventh ray is active upon the earth at this time. All of humanity is being affected by it. The seventh ray is the push and pull between the old and the new, the life that has been and can no longer continue in that form, and the new life that wants to evolve from the old. It honors traditions and ancestral wisdom that serve new life. When the seventh ray enters your life, you are asked to balance your attachment to what has been with an openness to the new. It is a time to fearlessly question what has been, honor what continues to hold value for you, and dismiss what no longer serves you. The seventh ray also creates form from invisible, intangible, spiritual energy. These are the inspired solutions and synchronicities that seem to come out of nowhere. So pay attention to the synchronicities in your life, whether it's numbers duplicating, same type of scenario popping up. It could be you keep seeing the same animal, maybe a squirrel keeps popping up, or I kept seeing coyotes recently. Pay attention to any type of synchronicity. They are signs of the divine order happening. The seventh ray begins an enlightenment with that divine order, and the more you are willing to invoke and allow that energy to bless you, the more your life will align itself with the genius of creativity, solutions, and loving opportunities the universe wants to bring to your world. The gifts of ritual and order and ceremony are always to attract this energy. Let me reread that. The gifts of ritual, order, and ceremony are ways to attract this energy. Okay? So this is where your ritual practices, being in ceremony, and whichever way that looks to you, there's consistency. You got to be consistent in repetition. It builds momentum. Okay? It creates your foundation and structure. Especially for those of you experiencing release of trauma, experiencing anxiety. Your ritual and daily practices are so important. And breathing. Pay attention when you're shallow breathing, and you got to expand your lungs, breathe deep, let air in, breathe in that life force energy, and exhalation. It's an inhalation and exhalation, full body, and movement, exercise. It doesn't have to be strenuous, but, do some exercise, get your blood pumping. Conscious ceremony done in service to unconditional divine love feeds a need for sacred embodiment. It is the hunger within the soul that many seek to feed through religion, and others through less conscious rituals of addiction. Ritual can be something that keeps you stuck or opens you to the sacred. That's a really powerful statement. So remember what I said before, as you're grounding, also leave yourself open to expansion. So pay attention to where in your life perhaps you are too rigid, because that will limit you from your expansion. Okay? So doing this work can actually, for those of you that are very faith-based in a traditional religion, I really invite you to allow these practices to expand your perceptions and experience with your faith. Because these teachings are within every single tradition. It just has a different language, different name. You have the 7 sacraments, you have 7 chakras. Things like that. Carolyn Mace breaks that down really nicely in her work. Very clear. Okay, so allow yourself to expand your relationship to what you already have in place. Because our divine feminine energy is coming through, and it's a creative energy. Our heart's opening, that's a creative, emotional energy. And you will feel the resistance, the conflicting energy if you become too rigid or trying to force something. This is about allowing, and to bring in spirit through creation and form, through your creativity. So right now, one of my biggest creativities right now is writing. And that is a very simple way, even if you do nothing with it other than write in your diary. It's a very simple way to bring spiritual energy, your energy, spirit energy, your divine connection into physical form just through the simple act of writing, if nothing else. And then you can go back and read it, and you will see it through perhaps different lens of yourself. So I encourage you to start there. Start there. And I'm going to reread this paragraph because I feel it feels important to give space to it. The gifts of ritual, order, and ceremony are ways to attract this energy. Conscious ceremony done in service to unconditional divine love feeds a need for sacred embodiment. It is the hunger within the soul that many seek to feed through religion, and others through less conscious rituals of addiction. Ritual can be something that keeps you stuck or opens you to the sacred. Choosing a spiritual practice to engage on a regular basis, creating your own spiritual system. Yeah, your own spiritual system. This is where you can be creative with it. Will help you call the genius of the 7th ray, the violet ray, energy into your life. Your spiritual practice might be daily prayer followed by a short conscious dance or yoga session, a meditation, a walk in nature, or some combination of these. Find what works for you. Okay? Find what works for you. Do that regularly. Make it a priority. You can invite spirit into your life through a simple and ordered system that you do on a regular basis. You can invite spirit into your life through a simple and ordered system that you do on a regular basis. Even if only the 5 or 10 minutes a day, then the new life, the new you, the order that brings an expansive idea to life in the world can happen. The challenge with the seventh ray is to not become obsessed with the future, with the new, to the extent that you forgot about the valuable aspects of what already is. So stay present, stay in the now. It is about developing what has value, not rejecting outright anything from the past. The past can teach us wisdom and help us create more loving future if we allow ourselves to balance our passion for the future with a respect for what has been. The gift of the seventh ray is the ability to live as an embodied divine presence. For humans who don't trust or even recognize the love of the divine in themselves, in their hearts, as yet, those who do are great supporters. The seventh ray empowers us to use loving ritual to invite divine presence to fill us and our lives. It also teaches us how to use our consciousness to clean up our own energy field and the energy field of the world around us, so the divine can show its face more clearly. The comfort of those can help free all beings from the anguish and suffering. And here's the invocation for you. I now accept of my own free will the blessings and grace of the seventh ray of ritual, order, ceremony, and the assistance, the unconditionally loving masters of this ray, the violet flame of Saint Germain and Archangel Zadkiel. I open to the magic of creativity, divine genius, and the ability to translate spiritual concepts into real-world experiences for the greatest good. May I discover and use my innate power of consciousness and loving ritual and ceremony to enrich and invite spiritual presence into the world. May all beings feel safe and consciously held in a loving divine order according to the great plan of love. Through my own free will, so be it. So be it. Much love to you, and have fun creating your daily ritual and connecting with the seventh ray and the violet ray.